Bahrain's a wonderful success story for Middle East motorsport.
Yes, I mean, we'd like to think that. I think for us the vision started 10 years ago, mainly by putting Bahrain on the map and using Formula One as a catalyst for that. I mean, it's a small island, and to compete against the region, I think it was important for us that people know about Bahrain. I mean, coming to the show here in 2003-04, if I said I was from Bahrain, a lot of people say, we don't know where that is. But I think the Grand Prix has worked really well for that, and that's one side of it. But growing the industry in the motorsports is another important thing for us.
Have you found that since the Bahrain Grand Prix has sort of really taken on in a big way, a lot of interest for people to work to try and find a career in motorsport, Bahraini people getting involved?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the main things that we've seen in terms of building that human capital and having people proud and passionate about the sport and the industry. The marshals, for example, that have marshaled the Grand Prix were chosen by the FIA to go set up and marshal the Indian Grand Prix. And so the recognition that we're getting because of the hard work that they put into it is also a good thing. So, and that setup wasn't just flaggies and all that. It was chief medical officer, clerk of the course. I mean, the whole race control with Charlie Whiting, supporting him to run the Indian Grand Prix, which was a proud moment for Bahrain.
Where did the initial interest come from to have the Grand Prix? Bahrain and the Middle East in particular has a strong rallying pedigree, but not in Formula One and in single-seaters. Where did that sort of motivation come from initially?
For us in Bahrain, we were the first to set up a motor federation or an ASN in 1952. So we were
long ago.
Long ago. So we were the first country to have a motor federation in the Gulf. We've had, like you said, rallying and all of that history. It was also a continuation of that. So we needed to go to circuit racing. We needed to build circuits and venues, and we needed to start that in the region. So Bahrain was one of the first to initiate those circuits, and it has helped because now we have other venues in Qatar and Dubai and Abu Dhabi continuing and building this industry together.
We've had how many? 10 or 11? Is it 11 now, isn't it?
It's going to be 10 this year.
This year, yeah. They've all been really good races, and the facilities are incredible. I think the standard in Formula One is so high now, isn't it?
It is. For us in building a circuit, it's easy to start with a blank piece of paper. A lot of the historical tracks in Europe either were airfields or anything like that. So it's easy for us to say, yes, it's a good facility, but we also had an easier way of designing it and building it. But you still have to work hard in solving problems and making it work right, and that goes back to the people that are there.
And what do you think of the state of Formula One at the present time?
I think it's very exciting. I think Formula One is in a good place with the support of the FIA, the new engines, the new cars, all of that. Is there room for improvement? Definitely. I mean, we host other races like the World Endurance Championship, WEC, where the access and the restrictions and all that, walking into the paddocks and the teams also helps the fans come closer to the cars, and I think Formula One can become better if that was easier. Yet they also built a brand that's quite impressive, so I think they know what they're doing.
Do you think the Bahraini people were perhaps surprised at how little access you can have in Formula One?
I don't know. As a venue, with anything new, it sets the standard. So they would have been surprised if they had seen other tracks or other races. But since this was the first one, it's kind of an introduction. Our first event was a Formula One race.
They had nothing to unlearn, did they? They didn't know what was to expect. I think for many people, part of the magic of Formula One, part of the allure of it, is that you can't just wander. It's a meritocracy. It's elitist. You can't just wander around willy-nilly. It wouldn't be quite the show it is if it was like that, would it?
Yes, I agree, and I think it's also about who's there, and if you had access and saw that. I mean, the celebrities, the idea of if I didn't watch this race, I'll be out of the discussion that's going to happen later on during the day or with my friends, so it kind of amazingly built this image of you needed to see it and understand and have the information if you were, in with the motorsport community.
Any other plans for 2014? Any exciting developments at the circuit?
We have obviously big plans. 2014 will be our first night race. So we have 495 light poles being put up. It's quite exciting. It's one of the biggest projects since we built the track. And we're very excited. Obviously, it's going to be our 10th race, 10 years as well since 2004. And we're looking forward to having one of the best races ever.
Is it to sort of help with European time? Or is it just to make it just look even more spectacular from your point of view?
No, it's not about making it look spectacular only. We also look at not just Formula One, but throughout the year, an utilization of the track. Drag racing, for example, is the grassroots level racing in the Middle East. That's the biggest sport we have. That race is at night. So we get crowds for that, and we want to link the synergies between circuit racing, drag racing, and having more events at night. For us as a people, it's also easier with the weather, temperatures, to do more night events. And so with Formula One and throughout the year, I think it'd be better utilization of the track if we can run at night. We
wish you well. I'm sure it's going to be an exciting event. There's a lot of demand, isn't there, for space on the Formula One calendar, so you have the security of one of the early races in the year, which is good.
Yes, I mean, it's for us, it's a continuous effort to build on that relationship. An example of that is we're very happy to get testing. The teams have chosen Bahrain to have the final 2 tests, and that's a big kind of stamp of approval for us that this is the venue where everyone wants to come and test and all that in February and March. And that is important for us to continue that relationship and hopefully always have that position in the Formula One test.
They're going to be busy, aren't they, with these new cars and these new engines and these new regulations? It's anyone's guess.
Absolutely. I think we're all waiting to see the first test in Spain, and from there it's going to be exciting. But again, every change was always criticized, but Formula One always got better and better and better.
Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Shaikh Salman, thank you very much indeed.